What is good, everybody? Welcome to this episode of the Vanflip podcast. Today, I am joined by Bryan Giles, guitarist slash vocalist for the stoner metal band Red Fang. How you doing today, Bryan?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing amazing. I will have to admit, this isn't the first time me and you have had a chat. However, it is the first time we've had a chat as Lambgoat. So I interviewed you for my smaller, shittier podcast in 2018 when you played Rockville and Jacksonville here.
Oh, okay, great.
So
you're saying you're moving on up?
I guess you could say that. Yeah, thanks for that. Yeah.
All right, sure.
Well, we meet again. Well, it's been 5 years since you last, released a record. I think when I talked to you on the podcast, I think we had mentioned that you guys were in the midst of writing or recording it or whatever. But here we are, 2021. June 4th, I believe, is your release date for Arrows, correct?
That is correct, yeah.
And you've released a couple singles thus far. Arrows, the title track, and then most recently, what was it? I'm drawing a blank.
Funeral Coach.
Funeral Coach, yeah. The thing I noticed about both of those songs is there's a very different sound from your previous material. Would I be wrong in thinking that way?
I don't know. It all feels like it's on a continuum to me, but I'm so in it that it's really hard to, be subjective. Hopefully, if it's new, it's new and fun. You can throw in an adjective if you want it.
I wasn't necessarily saying it's different. It just, there's a different, like, obviously the recording is, it seems like the production is also approached differently as well. So there's an overall tone, sound, and feel of those two songs compared to your previous release material. To me, I should say.
Yeah, well, we were talking with Chris about, he wanted to try some experimental stuff with production, and we trusted him. So definitely has a different tonal quality. As far as the songwriting goes, I think that, like, especially Arrows is a lot more technical than I typically play, but Aaron kind of came up with a lot of those, the guitar, the melodies, and so it's sort of a workout, but it's fun. It's old dog, new tricks.
It's always good to learn new things along the way, no matter how long you've been playing an instrument or in the band,
Yeah.
So, outside of just, touring and whatnot, what was the, what took so long getting the record, outside of touring, and probably COVID, I'm sure, messed with it, but we talk about COVID all the time on this podcast.
Right. Well, we've always, songwriting is pretty, it takes us a long time for inspiration. I mean, we have a lot of riffs, but man, if riffs were, physical objects, we'd be about knee deep in cutting room floor. We don't throw them away. We just, put them in the vault. But we have a lot of, starts that we never followed all the way through. So, what rises to the top can take a while. This record was supposed to be released in May of 2020, but it seemed like everyone was, hoarding toilet paper and maybe wasn't so focused on buying new records. So we made the decision not to release it at the time. Maybe we should have, and given people something to think about other than, hoarding or, the end of the world. But then again, we're not exactly like a, whistle while you work band. So maybe that wasn't a good idea either. Yeah. I don't know. Here we are, and I'm very excited it's coming out.
Cool. And it's through Relapse yet again, correct?
That is correct.
And how is it working with Relapse? Like, this is your third album with them, I believe. And do you foresee yourself continuing working with them, or I don't necessarily know your contract details though, but
this is our fourth record with them, and
fourth? I apologize.
And oh no, it's fine. You know, the thing about working with those guys is you know, I think there was some reticence in the beginning because we don't really fall into the sort of what the typical Relapse release, at least, you know, what that was 10 years ago,
Right.
which was the pretty extreme side of metal. So, you know, that we finally, you know, they finally decided that they wanted to release the record. And since then it's just been great, because it's, you know, their home office, or at least they have one in Philly and one here. But anyway, so we see them around socially, and it's very much a you know, friendly situation. You know, it's not all business. You know, like they said at the beginning, and it has held true, is that, you know, we're going to sign this contract, but it's just going to go in a drawer and we're never going to look at it again. And that has been true, because I wouldn't know what I was looking at anyway. You know, I mean, we send it to the lawyer, and the lawyer says, you know, starts slashing and stuff. And I'm like, all right, you know, just make sure that the legal people are happy. And then once they're happy, then we say goodbye to the contract and get to the business of making music, you know?
Yeah. Well, are the singles that you guys released throughout the past few years, are those going to be included on this particular, on Arrows, or is Arrows just completely all new material?
It's all new. That I think we did record. We came out with a single that was also recorded at the same studio with Chris, Antidote, and that at the time we were thinking that would be a precursor to this album. But then once we got in the studio, we had enough material, and we're like, well, you know, that song's already out there, and really, as far as, you know, being sonically different, it was in the same studio, same engineer, same producer. So I was like, wow, it kind of feels redundant. So and luckily we did have enough material. We could, you know, pick and choose what songs we wanted on there. So for better or worse, it's all new stuff.
Well, that's good to hear. I was curious because you guys, like I said, you released like a little Hansel and Gretel trail of songs leading up till now. So I didn't know if those were going to be also added onto the effort or not, but it's good to know it's all new, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I'm like a shark, you know, always moving forward. A real friendly shark.
Yeah, like the one on Finding Nemo, you know?
Sure, I'll make Nemo a casserole.
So other than that, how you been holding up out there? Are you still in Portland? You said there's an office there for Relapse, so I'm assuming, or you're in Oregon.
Yeah, Portland, Oregon. I'm still here. 3 out of 4 of us still live here, and Aaron splits his time. His wife and he's have a house up in Tacoma, Washington. So practicing is a little bit more of a scheduling issue, but we've been making it happen. And so he'll come down for 2 days a week, and we get together and practice.
Yeah, that's cool.
But he still has an apartment here, so he sort of still lives here too.
Yeah, I was gonna say Tacoma's not super far from where you're at, so it's more manageable than, you know, a couple other people I've had on this podcast that live that are in bands that have people living all over the country, and it seems a lot more hectic.
Oh yeah, I want to say it was one of the guys from these Arms Are Snakes lives in Portugal, and the rest of the guys live somewhere scattered around America, and it's like, what? That sounds like a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
But, you know, I mean, I'm not a very, well, you know, you were mentioning, spending your time during the quarantine stuff. And I learned a lot about, recording on the computer and stuff, and getting a little more savvy that way. But I much prefer, you know, looking somebody in the eye, or, you know, and doing it the old school way. You know, I can't imagine being a long distance band like that.
Yeah, no, I couldn't either. I'm so used to just an in-person vibe, even when writing or jamming. It's just totally different, which I'm sure it is difficult to create ideas, riffs, and such, and then share them with others all the time rather than creating as a group, as a unit and everyone vibing it at the same time, which.
Yeah, man. I mean, you want to, when you're hearing a riff or working on it for the first time, you want your, your fillings to rattle. Yeah. You don't want to be sitting comfortably drinking tea at the computer. That's like not cool at all.
Yeah, no.
But I mean, it like I said, I kind of got used to it, and there is some freedom to it, which is fun. Like I'm doing home recordings, and if I want to have a flugelhorn solo, well, who's gonna stop me?
Right.
But as far as Red Fang goes, we've always been a plug in and play kind of band. So I don't want to go changing that just because of the planet having problems.
Yeah, I agree to that. And so how does the songwriting process for you guys go? Is it still the same as it was previously when you first got together, and now it's different because people live in different cities, and you guys obviously have the whole COVID situation. But
well, I think that we are going to incorporate more, at least sort of hashing out some of the basic ideas via project file sharing, and then so we'll have a better idea of what we're doing once we get together in person, so we don't burn up in an hour just sort of going over some rudimentary things that we could get taken care of. But other than that, I mean, it's pretty much the same system, which is to say that it's not a hard and fast system. I mean, sometimes it'll be a bass line or a guitar line. It could be an idea from a really long time ago, or something that someone came up with off the cuff. And actually way back in the day, we were still doing what I called nerd practice, where Aaron and I would get together and sit with his computer and sort of Frankenstein practice recordings and put different ideas together and add vocals and see if they work. Like I say, just because our time together as 4 people in a room, it's a limited amount of time. So the more you can sort of be prepared for that when you get in there, it seems like it makes it for more productive, successful practice.
Of course. Yeah.
I mean, I can succeed in drinking beer anytime, but it's nice to have something to do while you're doing that.
No, I understand. Yeah. And I agree completely with you. So before the pandemic and everything, how like into home recording, I would say, were you previous to that? Like, did you have any experience with it, or did you fiddle with it at all, or?
Well, back in the day, I'd go to Aaron's because he and David both have, a knowledge of it. I think Aaron's kind of more accomplished than anybody in the band. But yeah, I had no idea. And honestly, in kind of a snotty way, I didn't want to know. I was like, yeah, well, fuck that. Computers, man. Rock and roll. And now I'm like, oh, wait. That was a stupid attitude.
Yeah.
So I have learned a lot about it, and I'm enjoying it. It's, I still enjoy playing with the band more, but there's a reason why I didn't become a painter or a solo artist. I enjoy the interconnectivity of being in a band, and you don't really get that sitting at home, but I still have it in my mind where it's, I know those guys so well, I kind of can see maybe where their perspectives might be, and so it's it's exciting to have that in my arsenal. I'm not going to go out and get a job being a producer or anything. I'm not good like that, but I can make some noise.
Yeah.
If you need a crazy answering machine message song, I can do that.
Oh, well, we might be looking for a podcast intro riff or something, so you never know. But
all right, you let me know.
I will let you know about that. I've been wanting a different one because we've been having the same one for 2 years. So if you want to help us out with that, hey, Brian, by all means.
That is unacceptable. And also, do you have music for your when people are on hold?
No, I don't.
Yeah, that's something to think about.
Yeah, no,
you know,
you're right.
I mean, if some kind, people might just start calling just to listen to the hold music.
Depends. Yeah, depends if we have a good enough, riff or tune or whatnot.
Yeah, you just need to curate it. It's like the best hold music in all of metal.
Right, right. We do use a very old Lambgoat record song for the intro from Undying. No, I forget. Unholy. Yeah, Unholy. I almost said Undying. Way different band. But yeah, no, maybe we should install like a little private line for the podcast or Lambgoat so people could call and just leave messages like Viceland or something. That'd be interesting. I wonder how vile that would get.
It's an untapped market, the hold music.
Yeah. Of course, yeah. And well, the Cisco one is very famous on the internet right now.
Cisco Foods?
No, the Cisco phone people or electronics or something. Not that particular, not the food one, but
how is it famous in what way?
Here, I'll just play it for a second.
Infamous?
Yeah.
Or famous?
See, I just put Cis and it goes Cisco hold music. I'm gonna play a little bit of it, and you'll have heard it already.
Great.
Everyone's heard.
Oh, I know this. This number.
Yeah. So yeah, before we get in trouble.
I hate that one so much.
Yeah, that's the most infamous one right now, and I think it's kind of like I've seen it on TikTok as memes and stuff like that, and people just because it's so repetitive and because a lot of companies keep you on hold for a long time.
Yeah, the loop is like 15 seconds.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It's terrible. It's like if you were watching episodes of Friends in hell. It's like that clap, but just that.
Yeah. It's just a little bit of echo in there. Yeah.
No hooks, just a shitload of reverb and delay and that fucking clap.
What kind of hold music would you like? What would you?
I tell you, my
music?
local mechanic. I have, I've called them a couple of times and gotten on hold, and I'm like, this is the craziest hold music. It's like skronk jazz. It's like almost offensively free. Like, who is this? Someone's cousin doing this? This is crazy. Anyway, that might be what got me thinking that we need to start having more interesting hold music or hold music that it pertains, to what you're holding for.
Right. Yeah, because I mean that Cisco one is a blanket hold, is a blanket tune for a wide array of companies and such like that. But yeah, maybe if they called the Lambgoat line, we'd have a Red Fang song playing or something.
Yeah, man. I think we could really kick something off here.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you're waiting for the DMV, you could have Stephen Wright jokes because that's about the emotional level you're on when you're waiting on the phone for DMV, and yet it's funny.
Well, would you want someone doing that? Because then you might not know if when the other person comes on, you might not want to hear someone talking.
Or you might say, you know what? Can you just put me back on hold? I want to hear the punchline.
Yeah, I was really at the good part. I'm putting you on hold now, please.
Exactly.
Oh man. So so obviously home recording, getting back into that, has kind of opened up, your creativeness a little bit, I'm sure, right? It gives you a little different approach to songwriting and such like that. I know you said you didn't want to be a solo artist, but I'm sure you're making little tunes.
Oh yeah, I've been cranking the jams out, man. I don't know if they're ready for human consumption, but they're making me real happy, And yeah, like I said, the freedom is insane. It's whatever the hell you want, Nobody's hanging over my shoulder, So
yeah, no. Hey, what are you making?
Yeah, exactly. Well, you're going to use that sample, dude?
No gate. It's a gatekeeping free zone, man.
2012.
Yeah, true. Yeah. So what kind of stuff? I mean, without giving away everything, like what is it? Anything in the vein of Red Fang, or is it even heavy music at all, or is it like what are your other pursuits in music outside of the grunge stoner sludge metal situation?
I've been enjoying doing things that are sort of like I mean, not to say that I'm doing this well, but I've been messing around with kind of Rycooter sounding guitar stuff, sort of sad, plinky guitar stuff with the, sort of my softer side.
I was going to ask, would you explain what Rycooter sound means for anyone who doesn't understand that?
Well, like the Paris, Texas movie soundtrack, just plaintive, like, man, I've wasted my life. Everything sucks. Blues guitar, like that.
Okay.
But I've also, been working on some noise stuff, and I sort of lean into some industrial. I'll take some free drum sounds, and then just add a shitload of distortion and make it sound like like a construction site. Been doing some of that, and then I've been working on a project with a friend from Tucson, Arizona, about the end of the world from the perspective of a band that started in 2042, and so we're collaborating with a band from the future, and they're sending back the finished product. Anyway, so I can't really take a whole lot of credit for that because it is obviously these future people that are making the music, but that's been really interesting and just really fun. Like you say, it's like anything goes. It's something like somewhere between, like, I don't know, Swerve Driver and Enya and Front 242. I don't know. It's weird.
It sounds
but we have
weird.
A shitload of songs. So anyway, it's been really fun to do.
Well, yeah, if you have a shitload of songs, it sounds like it's easy. Not that it's easy, but it's fun. I guess, like you just said, fun.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think that just approaching it from like what is grabbing me immediately, and not rolling an idea over the coals until you've taken the spark out of it. I think there's something to be said for that. And so he'll send me projects, and if I get inspired to do something, I'll chase it down before my self-editing version of me can catch up and go, hang on a second, and that may happen, but I'm like, oh, sorry, I already hit send.
Yeah. It's definitely, it's so much better working with another person rather than being a solo artist, just like we were talking about earlier. Because again, you are your own worst enemy and your own worst critic, and you're never really going to be fully completed with any kind of idea, riff, or song for that matter. So it's much easier, just like you said, with recording, like let somebody else handle it and just look you in the eye. It's so much easier just to give over the reins.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, making your internal critic shut up. I think that's a life skill. Someone should do a TED talk about it.
Yeah, I'm sure there probably are.
They probably have.
But I don't listen to a lot of TED Talks myself, so I don't necessarily know if they have elaborated on that topic. But
no, I mean, honestly, me neither. And I'm not even sure who TED is. So, whatever. I just threw that out there. It's my pop culture reference of the day.
There you go. We already talked about TikTok, so Ted can get in there too. We're cool with the kids now.
Yeah. I mean, who is it? Is it Ted Kaczynski? Who is it? What Ted are we talking about?
I honestly have no idea. I think it might be just like, it might stand for something else, maybe. I don't know. TED? I don't know.
Yeah, it could be. Well, I think that maybe there'll be a comment section, and we'll learn something today.
Oh, I'm sure we'll learn a lot. Our comments are always usually interesting. I'm sure you're aware of that.
Yeah, man, I love a troll.
Yeah, we had a plenty for a long period of time. Obviously, I think we got kind of well known for that for a little while, and then trolls became like a problem in pop culture in general, and then that became a big problem all around.
Yeah, well, it's the anonymity of it. People get get bold because they, there's no personal accountability.
Yeah, no, I get that. Especially now we have you have to have like the Facebook account kind of situation and leave comments. A lot of people hate that, but a lot less comments in general. But I think with the new site launching sometime in the next couple of weeks / months, I think there's going to be some kind of version of it or some of the anonymous comments. I think. I don't know. I'm not the web designer.
I mean, it's part of the cool thing about the internet being unregulated, and I hope it remains so. I mean, if that's just, one of the byproducts of it, I really don't want, if I think that the Duncan Hines cake doesn't rise the way I'd like, and I, want to slam it, I don't want Duncan Hines to be able to geo-track me.
Right.
No, say, hey, this cake hater lives at so-and-so, Jones Lane. I don't want that either. So, so like I say, trolling is a necessary evil.
Yeah. It is an awkward situation to, because the freedom of speech aspect and, if someone's just being anonymous about it, obviously chances are they're just trying to get like a rise out of anybody and anybody. So,
oh, sure. And like I say, it's the personal accountability. If you have something to say, but you're afraid that anyone will know that you personally said it, well, then that's kind of gutless, isn't it?
Yeah.
If you're gonna slam somebody, slam them and sign your name at the bottom.
Yeah. Say you hate that cake. It didn't rise well.
That's right.
Oh.
Goddamn Duncan Hines.
So, what do you miss the most about the road, Bryan? Have you answered that question a million times in the last year and a couple months?
No one has asked me that.
Oh well, what do you miss?
And
most,
honestly,
man?
I like the discomfort. I like the constant. I'm not exactly sure what's happening next thing. I like it.
I can get that.
Like that Stephen Wright joke. That feeling where you're leaning back in a chair and right before you think you might be falling backwards. Mm-hmm. I like feeling like that all the time.
Yeah, no, it's
the touring does kind of, I mean, not that extreme, but I like it. It's either positive or negative, but it's always a little bit like your life has a question mark on it, and that's exciting, because I like my creature comforts. I don't do anything too wild and crazy when I'm at home, so that's an aspect of my personality that is, it's mandatory. I can't say, oh, you know what, I feel like, watching, a marathon of Family Guy or something today and not leaving the house. It's like, well, no, that's not an option. Get out there and do stuff, so.
Yeah.
So I guess I missed that. And it looks as though we're going to be touring again in October. So I'll get to, which is fucking fantastic.
Yeah. You guys just announced today, May 12th is today. Obviously this is recorded earlier, but you just announced the Halloween show.
Yeah, I think that's going to be awesome.
Is that part of a tour, so to speak?
Yeah,
this won't come out for a week.
That'll be a U.S. tour. So somewhere in the middle, because that's kind of far away from where we live. So
yeah, I mean, it's across the country, is it not?
Yeah, I mean, we have of course done a fly-in or two, but that will be part of a tour.
Will you be going out with all them witches, or is that just the show with them specifically, or is that something that we are not allowed to discuss?
As far as I know, it's just that one show.
Okay.
But it's going to be fun, man. I don't remember the last time we played a Halloween show. I might have to think about a costume.
Yeah, I think that would be part of the program, right?
I think the last time I think we played Halloween was maybe, I don't know, 2012, something like that. And we did not come up with costumes, but our buddies were playing downtown at a different venue. They were playing at Dante's, and we were playing across the river about a mile away at Doug Fir, and they were wearing Campbell's soup cans, these styrofoam Campbell's soup cans, anyway, I walked over the bridge to watch them play, and I thought, oh man, they look great. And and they played an early set. We were headlining our show, so I was like, you guys, that was awesome. Any chance you want to loan me your costumes so that we'll have something to wear for Halloween? And they were gracious, and they were like, yeah, sure, you can steal our thunder, buddy. So anyway, so they loaned me these things, and I carried them back. I walked them, the mile back across the bridge, and I didn't realize, well, they played a set of them, so they were really sweaty and fucking gross. So anyway, we lasted about 5 songs in those suits. Yeah. But I think that was the last time we did a production like that. So we'll have to hopefully come up with our own outfits that are not sweated this time around.
No used outfit, please. Yeah, I was thinking that has to be gross. Just to have all
and
that
those guys were on the road, so it's not like they were like fresh as daisies when they climbed in there.
And it can also be like not the first time they used that costume. That could be just a thing they were using all year or all that tour.
Yeah, man. I mean, who knows? Maybe there might be a community of sexually liberated people that like to dress up like canned food.
Yeah, I mean,
which I'm not going to think about that too much because who knows? Those Saviors guys they're wild and crazy.
Yeah. Plus the microphones listen to you, and now you're going to have some weird kink content coming up in your Instagram feed now.
Exactly.
I always see like the horseplay stuff, memes all over the place where people are dressed like horses and shit. Do you celebrate? Are you a big Halloween guy in general? Do you like to dress up? Do you like to celebrate Halloween?
No, not really. I think the last time I dressed up, I went to a Halloween party. I dressed up as the cowbell guy, the Too Much Cowbell Will Ferrell character. Will Ferrell,
yeah, from the.
And I had like a brown velour V-neck sweater, and my beer gut was hanging out. And I probably didn't. It probably didn't make anybody happy, but I did have a cowbell.
More cowbell.
So there's that.
Yeah.
No, I mean I think it's more. I'm happy for kids to do it. I mean, when I was a young person, it was my favorite holiday. I loved the scariness of it, and of course, shitloads of sugar. I love that too.
Yeah, who didn't like that?
Anyway, I still believe in the holiday. I think it's great, and if we have something like a show, then I can't turn the porch light out and hide from Halloween. I'll be forced to do it. So I'm looking forward to it in that respect too.
How weird will it be for you to get back out there with other people? Because you live in Oregon, and I'm sure it's much different than it's been for me in Florida. Whereas, the two communities are vastly different in handling what's, the pandemic in general. So how is it going to be for you getting back out there? Like personally?
I don't know. I think I'm looking forward to it. I think, this country is sort of, is pretty divided ideologically. And I think the best way going forward is for us to all get together and hang out. And, like we were saying with Trolls, it's like no personal responsibility. If we all start having a conversation about our different perspectives on whatever, social issue or any, politics, anything like that, I think that's how we start to heal as a country. It's like, I think we've been all vilifying each other, and I think the time for that is well over. I have no problem with people having differing opinions. I just think that this sort of, throwing shit at each other over a fence is just not getting us anywhere. And I think that a rock show is a perfect way for people to relate on a very fundamental level. I like to headbang and get wasted or whatever, you know what I mean? And we can relate on that level.
Yeah, who doesn't?
And then we go from there.
Yeah. No, but I didn't know if like you had kind of maintained to yourself a lot over the last year and a half, or if, you've been, I don't want to call you out and say you're social. I mean, I've been social because I live in Florida, and it's just been vastly different, like I was saying. So mentally, are you preparing to be out with other people en masse?
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm a pretty antisocial person, before, during, and after all this shit. Nothing's really going to change. Although I think, and this is nothing new to, I mean, I think everyone has some level of anxiety about re-entering, uh, society or whatever, as far as like, going to a social event and talking about the day's events with people you haven't seen in a while, that kind of thing. It's like, it is a skill that gets rusty.
Yeah.
But like I said, I was real awkward with it beforehand. So it's really, I'm not too worried about it. It's like, nope, it's still me. I'm still awkward. Hi.
Yeah, as long as you can maintain that consistency of being awkward, like you said.
Yeah, but if I was like socially well-adjusted and charming, and my jokes were funny, all of a sudden people would wonder if I was replaced like a Stepford wife.
Yeah, like you were saying with the missing the being addicted to the uncomfortableness and awkwardness of like touring and stuff like that. I also think that I get addicted to awkward feelings. That's part of the reason why I probably host this podcast, because every time I do one of these things right beforehand, it's just like, man, I'm super nervous, and then I feel like the beginnings are always awkward, and I feel like I like sitting in that awkwardness. Not at the time, but reflecting back, I was like, oh, that was a good time.
Yeah, man. Well, let's see. What was it? We did something like I don't know, these moments in your life where you dread something and you're like, oh, this could be a terrific failure, and then afterwards you're like, it was like a roller coaster, and it was terrifying, but man, I want to get back in line and do it again.
Yeah, and I think that's how I approach a lot of things that way. There's a lot of things that I don't want to do in life that make me nervous, or I'm just flat out scared in general, or just whatever. But there are, it's that feeling of like, once you step out into the unknown, and then you're just like kind of like free falling, I guess you could call it. When you look back on that feeling, it's very like, oh, okay, well, I did that, so may as well, I could do this or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I think just in general, that's what life's about, man. Doing something that that sounds like a terrible idea to begin with, and find out for yourself, and instead of just shutting something down and saying, oh, that probably would have been terrible. No, what you want to do is actually have the terrible experience and prove it to yourself that yes, indeed, that was a terrible idea. And every once in a while, you're wrong.
And you can probably attest to this, that some of the lowest and worst points of tour over the years for you guys, when you look back with the members of your band, I'm sure you laugh a lot about those.
Oh yeah, we've had some real debacles, that were just like, look, like, how are we going to deal with this situation? I mean, we had a van. We were on tour way back. We call it the Brown Star. It was brown and shitty. Anyway, the catalytic converter went out, and there was no chairs in the van. It was just the metal bottom of the van. So you were like, your ass was cooking because there was this red hot broken catalytic converter. And we broke down something. We tried to leave Oakland, I think 5 days in a row, and with mechanics in between, and doing various, some of which slightly illegal things to try to get the van to go. And it was sort of terrible. And yet I look back on, having second degree burns on my butt and being stuck in Oakland for a week. That was awesome. Yeah. I'm glad the van broke down. That's not true either, but you know what I mean.
The story is worth its weight in gold, though. You know what I mean? And the hilarious laughs that you get to have with your compadres and such. I think I heard that on some other kind of show or podcast, that the negative times that people have that sometimes become the most humorous later in their life when they can reflect back on that, just because even though it may be a shitty time, like you may be depressed or you may be going through whatever, at some point, if you can look back and laugh on that, you're going to continue laughing on that forever. So it's kind of worth going through it, I guess. Right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you run out of that, well, then, maybe stick a fork in you, I mean, that's why we all get up in the morning, is, get through whatever we have to get through, and hopefully gain perspective and be happy about all of it, regardless, at the end.
Yeah, it's a stay posy type mindset, which is
Yeah, man.
pretty big in the scene. So
PMA.
yeah, there you go. Positive mental attitude.
Yeah,
So
man.
what was I gonna ask? Oh, so what have you been listening to lately outside of your own recordings? Any
Um,
new stuff, or is it mostly just like old records and stuff like that?
I've been trying to listen to new things. I was on a tear where I was listening to just trying to listen to a new album every time I walked the dog. Just crank something up, and I got through a lot of Genesis, their old catalog, and the Bee Gees. Just basically things that I hadn't, or ELO. Stuff where I'm like, I really I can say ELO maybe for a punchline, but do I really know ELO? And so I have a better understanding of some of, the the back catalog of some, of some bands that I'd never really discovered before. But as far as new stuff, I'm really slow to the uptake, and that's another thing I miss about tours. That a lot of the new music I listen to, I get exposed to from my bandmates.
Mm-hmm.
It's you have a 10-hour dead drive. Well, the stereo is a great way to get you through that, and I'm not stuck in a tin can for 10 hours now, so I don't get near as much exposure to the music as I would like.
How does the use of the CD player / internal speakers of the van work? How do you guys share that? Do you guys get like a hourly limit, or is it whoever's driving that day gets the reins of the radio?
Yeah, it's the driver and the shotgun are in charge of the stereo. If you're shotgun, theoretically you are there to run the stereo and the GPS and not fall asleep. I mean, we don't, sometimes it just happens. You're exhausted, but in general, yeah. And the most important person to stay awake and happy and aware is the driver. So pretty much whatever they say goes. So if you're sick of listening to a podcast that one of the drivers has been listening to nonstop all day, well then you want it to stop. You
saddle up,
get behind the wheel.
Yeah,
exactly. It's like put up or shut up.
Interesting. Yeah, that's a good way to do it. Yeah, and to go back with the new music, old music thing, that's the paradox of listening to music. I find there's so much old music that I've not accustomed myself to as well, that I missed out on a lot of earlier catalogs of such. And but there's also so much new music coming out, and then on top of the fact that I already have a lot of set favorites and set records that I go back to and visit all the time in general. So it's hard to juggle one's time as far as listening to music.
Yeah, and I would suppose that part of your duties as in this podcast is to be aware. If I drop some really esoteric name, from deepest, darkest Africa, there's this metal band. They've only played 2 shows. You don't know them?
No, I'll just nod. I'll just nod.
The 7-inch.
Yeah, I'd be like, yeah, sure, I got it. Yeah, on vinyl. No, yeah, and I do try to. Oh my gosh, listen to a lot of things that we post about in a lot of albums that release every week. I try to, focus on that. But again, that's a lot to juggle.
Oh yeah.
So
a new band that they're really not that new anymore, but I've been championing them a lot because I'm a big fan. Is Dead Now from Atlanta? You heard them?
What was it again?
Dead Now.
No, I have not.
Oh, well, they're fantastic.
What are they? What kind of genre? What kind of sound are
they? It's prog. It's prog heavy rock. The singer guitar player was in Torch for a long time.
Oh, okay.
So it has sort of, it doesn't have that that drop Z exploding guitar sound, but they do have they use a lot of sub octave stuff happening. So it's definitely rumbles your seat, and and really catchy, really cool band. So yeah, that they put a record out on Brutal Panda, maybe, I don't know, 2 years ago now. But
I have to.
I guess that's new to me. So I mean, if that gives you any perspective on how up to date I am.
Did you say it was NOW as in now?
Yeah.
Okay. Just making sure I had the right band. Because if it's like Torch, I mean, the last Torch record, we had them on pre-pandemic. They were actually here in town, but that was a great that was a great record. So if it's anything like that, I'll definitely check them out as well. Plus, Atlanta's not super far from me, and I have family there. So
there you go. Yeah, man. I mean, once we all get back in the saddle, they're definitely worth checking out.
Yeah, cool. Well, Bryan, I mean, I've been keeping you for like 45 minutes here. Do you have anything else you want to kind of plug? Do you have like a hot sauce you're trying to hustle, or are you selling Monet V over the internet, or what's going on?
No, we do have a hot sauce.
Oh, okay.
Tears of Joy puts out a Red Fang hot sauce out of Austin, Texas. And we have 2 versions. The first version, it's called Night Destroyer, and the first version was not hot enough for people. So the Red Fang Night Destroyer hot sauce 2 has scorpion peppers in it, and it's pretty damn hot. So yeah, I eat it.
Yeah.
I enjoy it.
You're a hot sauce kind of
guy? Yeah. I mean, my wife and I have a drawer, and we are now over capacity, and now I have a box in the closet. So yeah, I mean, we probably have 50 different bottles of hot sauce. We just got the Alice Cooper hot sauce, and holy shit.
Yeah.
Alice Cooper Poison, that is no joke. Man, that bottle's going to last a long time. Just a little dab will do you.
Do you enjoy it?
And
go ahead.
What's that?
Go ahead. Finish your thought.
Oh, no. I was just saying, and as far as other things to plug, one of the pre-order bundles for our record is we partnered with Cycle Las Vegas, and they made like custom dice and custom cards in this nice box. So if you're a gambler and you want our record and also some gambling paraphernalia, I think it's a really cool product. The cards are, the face cards are all the members of the band, and the jokers are our road crew. So you can look at artistically rendered versions of us on your cards while you gamble. So I'm proud of that. We've been working on that for over a year. So I'm like, oh my God, those cards exist. That's exciting. So I would be remiss if I didn't push those.
Yeah. That's hilarious. You guys do the hot sauce thing. I was just pulling that out of thin air, but do you like the hot sauce hot, or do you just like the way it tastes? Like, what is your preference? And you have 50, like you have 50. Like, how do you decide which one you're going to use at which given time?
Well, it depends on the food. I personally, I don't like so hot that it just, makes your mouth numb. I should have some flavor. There should be a reason other than pain to put it on your food. So I'm not like an extreme hot sauce guy, but I do like it to hurt to some degree. It needs to be like, you gotta, think about what you're doing when you're using it. That's about the level of hot sauce I like.
I get you. Yeah. I also like a little hot sauce here and there, but I've definitely spent many 30-minute segments just trying to like regain my tongue, the use of my tongue.
Oh yeah. I mean, I enjoy that show, The Hot Ones. I think that is a hilarious premise for a program.
I'm glad we don't have to do anything like that on this show. I don't know how he does it.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
God, I mean,
we toyed with the idea of doing a bland ones where, you're like, here's a saltine cracker. What do you think of that? Oh, very bland. I'm not sure it really augments the interview, though.
Yeah, true. Well, have you ever thought about sending your hot sauces to Hot Ones to maybe try to be in there? They should do like a band, get like a bunch of metal bands that have hot sauce. And
I think they should, except that, heavy metal is still sort of taking a backseat to to a lot of other popular culture. So I don't know if
we
that's
gotta
really
we gotta
appealing
fix that
to them.
somehow.
I would tune in, I tell you that.
Yeah, we gotta fix that somehow. There is a big, large quantity of metalheads out there. They just don't necessarily understand. There's so many different. I think there's so many different genres of rock and metal in general that they're so subjugated that it makes everyone's little clique even that much smaller.
Yeah, and I think that the hot sauce could bring us all together.
Hey, something could.
We got that metal army needs to stop factionalizing and start actualizing.
Hey, you know what? Maybe I'll get Alex to reach out to them on Twitter or something like that, and we'll arrange like a Lambgoat sponsored metal hot sauce lineup.
That is a great idea.
Yeah, we'll get some pull or something like that. Before I cut you out of here, Bryan, I want to talk to you really quick about the artwork because you brought up the bundle and stuff like that for your the Arrows bundle for the pre-order. Love the artwork, and I just wanted to know like what's the meaning behind it and who's the artist.
The art. Well, I mean, we're fans of something that you can see from 25 yards off, and it's our record. I like really bold images, and so that was one direction. But really, I think the majority of the creative credit goes to Orion Landau. He's the art director for Relapse, and he's just a really hardworking, super awesome dude. And anyway, he just we kind of give him some really rough parameters, and he runs with it. And I couldn't be happier with the art. I think it looks fucking awesome. Yeah, there's one of the images is we call the psychic tiger, and John just got a large reproduction of it for his kick drum, and it looks so cool.
Yeah.
So, I think it's conducive to like t-shirts and stuff, especially if you're a construction worker. You won't be hit by a truck wearing our gear.
That is good. Yeah, that is good. No, and it's good for like the vinyl collector. I like a big piece of vinyl that has a really bright and eye-catching, artistic in quotations look to it. So I really
absolutely I mean that's even if you don't have a turntable, I think it's just nice to have a big piece of art like that. If it's a band you like. I mean, I think CDs are something to get the music from the show into your computer, and then you throw the CD away.
I don't think so. I don't think so, Bryan. I don't think so. I still have a CD player in the car. No, I still have a CD player in the car, and there's nothing that beats a CD player in the car compared to streaming.
Where's the jewel case and the art and the liner notes? Is that in your car?
I got them all here. No, I don't have. I take. You know what? Sure. I actually make it a point to choose the CDs that I take with me, so I do have that with me at all times. Because I did have a little book, and then I just felt like I was never really.
The old CD book.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. That, and then you could have the book so that your passenger could peruse when you have, your 8 CD changer in the trunk of your car.
Mm-hmm.
You had, which of these 8 CDs would you like to hear? You want something else? We're going to have to stop.
Yeah.
And get in the trunk and change the CD. That was a flash in the pan. But it was kind of funny. It was like, all right.
Well, it was cool.
CDs in the trunk.
It was cool to have multiple CDs going on at the same time, because at the time that was unheard of too. You know what I mean? It was like, I have one CD, and then the trunk edition was insane. You couldn't go.
Yeah, I mean, if I guess you're going out on a hot date. You're like, well, I better switch out some of this, cattle decapitation for something else, or maybe more cattle decapitation, depending on the date.
Right. You never know. It depends on where you met the lady at. Maybe the supermarket, maybe the mosh pit. You never know.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe a mosh pit in a supermarket. Then you gotta keep her.
Yeah, I wouldn't know if it. Maybe not in a supermarket, but there's definitely been some mosh pits at Denny's. So I'm sure you can find some great great partners. I don't want to.
Partners indeed. That sounds like a story for another time. But yeah, I've never been in a mosh pit in a Denny's.
That's just the thing.
I'm not
internet.
dead yet, though.
That's true. I mean, you never know. Red Fang could pull up to Denny's and, give the old famous line, Denny's, what the fuck is up? Or what the fuck is up, Denny's? I don't know.
I'm not sure the reference, but I have played at Denny's. Oh my God, I have seen a mosh pit at a Denny's. I take it back. All right, forget it. And part of our payment was anything on the menu for your meal, except for no steak, because they were happy to have you, but not that happy to have you.
Right. So you got so we're talking. Did you when you played Denny's? Was it Red Fang playing Denny's?
No, it's a band called Party Time.
Okay.
And yeah, we played the sports bar that was connected to the Denny's, and we got free Denny's. Anything on the menu but steak. I'm like, man, one day we're gonna get so big they'll be forced to give us the steak on the Denny's menu.
Did it pan out, Bryan?
No, I have yet to get a free steak from Denny's.
You know what? Send them arrows and then say, how about that steak? How about that?
Okay, I was gonna send that to the CEO, and that's all it's gonna say is, how about that steak?
How about that steak? Well, Bryan, it's been great talking to you today. It's been great catching up with you, even though, again, it's been a couple of years and a completely different podcast. I look forward to seeing you guys come around this part of the country. And it sounds like it might be sooner than later. So, again, thanks for coming on Lambgoat's Vanflip podcast, Bryan.
Awesome. Thanks. It was great talking to you.
No problem. And pick up Red Fang's album, Arrows, June 4th. This podcast will be released around that time. So, boom, get it.
Boom shakalaka.